What is the most creative insult you've ever heard? It could be that the purpose of your life is to serve as a warning to others. Jolly good and so evil. Jonah managed to save an entire city from the wrath of God, yet he's only remembered for running away and getting swallowed by a fish. No matter how big our accomplishments, our failures will outlive them as lessons for others to learn from. That's from a demotivational poster. Well, if I were any more creative, I'd probably start a whole new genre of insults just so I could have something clever to say to you. My wife says that I have the fashion sense of a colorblind pimp. Not saying she's wrong, though. I heard this one at work: having Bob on your team is like having two good workers quit. Lol, that second one is gold. Poor Bob. He's trying his best. I'm not sure we know that. Was golfing and stopped to pee on a tree. Didn't realize I was facing the direction of oncoming cart path and this guy yells out while driving by. Looks like a penis, only smaller. How long were you in the burn ward? Hey, you know it's illegal for a grown man to hold a child's penis. Reminds me of when in The Sopranos Paulie Walnut suspects Chrissy of wearing a wire. Paulie insists Chrissy strip in front of him and two other guys. Chrissy strips down and Paulie pauses and says, "I guess you could call that a dick." A former coworker was getting some shit from one of our customers. After the customer said something particularly bad, my coworker looked him square in the face and said comments like, "That is probably why you're missing teeth." Your coworker was probably right, lol. Could also have been the math. Hey, no need to be mean about it, they've just got their summer teeth in. Some are there, some are not. This sounds like an extremely old joke, but I've never heard it before and I love it. About 10 years ago a guy drove past me and yelled out the window, "Your mustache doesn't suit you." I'm still not over it. I hope you're not a woman, cause that's just devastating. I am a woman. When she was a toddler, my daughter told me she loved how soft my mustache was compared to daddy's. It is often said that kids speak the truth. I wonder if your husband is jealous of that, cause that's a great power move if you ever need one. I did not attend his funeral, but I sent a nice letter saying I approved of it. Mark Twain. Mark Twain once said about Jane Austen, "It seems a great pity that they allowed her to die a natural death." Jesus lol. Why did he hate her so much? I was going to make a joke about him getting rejected, but I looked it up and she'd been dead for 18 years by the time he was born, so what the fuck? I've got some beef with Hemingway, but I'm not actively wishing he'd had a worse death. Then again, his was already pretty gruesome. When I was in high school, there was a student that was upset about the grade he received on a project. He asked the teacher why he got an F and the teacher replied, "Because we don't give out G's." Edit. Wow. Thanks for the gold, stranger. I haven't looked at my phone all day because work was super busy. The teacher in question was truly a great person and was successful with dealing with at-risk students. The student neglected the project and it was evident. Mr. He did allow the student to continue working on the project to improve his grade. He made it clear that if you want to succeed you have to work for it. Also, he rode a Harley Davidson to school almost every day. Wow. Damn, that's cutting. That's fucking brilliant. Reminds of when they asked Antoine Walker why he shot so many threes and he said, "Cause there ain't no fours." First time I went to dinner at my BF's parents' house, he warned me his brother has the modesty and humility of a newly moneyed rapper. He might try to suck his own cock during dinner. I need to know how that dinner went. Honestly, it would take forever to go through it. I'll just add that he murmured the line about his brother, just as his family was walking in, knowing it would make me blush. Then he said I looked flushed, and asked if it was too warm, with mock concern. Then he said I looked flushed, and asked if it was too warm, with mock concern. I love this guy. If my humility were as non-existent as his, I'd probably try to compliment myself by inventing a brand new language of insults just to properly roast him. There was a dude who went to be a prep cook in the restaurant I work at. Him and a waitress get into an argument, and he says your dildo must turn flaccid when you use it. He was fired the next day and me and a cook were yelled at by our boss for laughing. Worked in restaurants for about 4 years. There had been an attempted kidnapping in our city and we were talking about in the bow as we were all doing side work. I'd mentioned offhandedly how terrifying that must have been, and one of the cooks turned and said, "If you ever get kidnapped, just start talking and they'll return you." Bow banter is unmatched. Anyways, I dated that guy for 5 years. I love this. My first prep cook job, I cut myself so often that more of my fingers than not would be sporting those little finger cots, colloquially, finger condoms, and my first station started calling me Finger Bang. Anyways, we've been married for 8 years. One of my sister's teachers would compliment someone's bovine grace if she was certain they would miss the insult. I always like that one. Bovines can be really graceful though, some URL. Oh, I forgot. Granta Mahara, /_. Ooh, Carrie. Oh, Grant. This was my exact roller coaster. Haha, if my brain were as quick-witted as that teacher's, I'd probably end up accidentally complimenting the person I was trying to insult too. You mom had to think about other babies while breastfeeding you. First one in this whole thread that got me. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she liked me as a friend. Tilda Rodney Dangerfield. We were so poor, it's a good thing I was born a boy, or I wouldn't have had anything to play with. If I were as imaginative as the guy who came up with that insult, I'd probably end up writing a best-selling book on creative parenting techniques. I read this comment on a post where a guy explained how amazing he felt after the first time that a girl asked him out. The first response. Cool man. What breed was her guide dog? My father said something similar when I told them about the first time I kissed a girl. Did her guide dog bark at you or something? Fatality. Somewhere on Reddit a while ago you look like someone who preheats the microwave. Well, if I were any more creative, I'd probably invent an insult involving a toaster and a kazoo, just to match the level of absurdity in that microwave insult. You think in low power mode. Lol ouch. That's a compliment, you think almost as efficiently but with significantly less bloatware to keep from powering yourself off? Bruh, thank you, finally someone noticed. I knew someone who used to say he doesn't have enough gigabytes about anyone particularly slow or stupid at work. I can only wish I had the power to insult someone as ingeniously as the second man's remark about thinking in low power mode. Wisdom has been chasing you, but you've always been faster. Reminds me one from a very old movie. If stupidity had wings you would be flying around like pigeon. If my comebacks were any more clever, I'd probably have a job as a full-time insult writer, but who needs a steady paycheck, right? I can only explain it to you, I can't understand it for you. I could try and make it easier for you to understand, but I'd need some crayons. I have neither the time, nor the crayons to explain this to you. And sock puppets. Damn, I'm going to go to my teaching job now and probably bite my damn tongue off trying to hold that one in. If I was as creatively insulted as that person, I'd probably invent a language where every word meant I'm sorry, did you say something? From Bob's Burgers. If she was a spice she'd be flour. Similarly, I heard someone use no-purpose flour as an insult, and for some reason that just broke me. I put it elsewheres, but in the same vein I knew a voice teacher that referred to someone as multi-talentless. In a Scottish accent. Very choice. If she were a book, she'd be 2 books. What does this one mean? He's hard on the eyes, my cousin describing my sister's new boyfriend. He's got a face made for radio. I had coworker that would say this all the time about himself. He had a good radio voice, people would comment on it and he would say he has the face for radio as well. He would also joke that he was only kept around at the store because he could reach the top shelf. I miss working with him. A lot of the same interests, and he was really into insects, especially ants. He built his own ant farms. And a voice for the paper. If my creativity hit a level high enough to match your cousin's insult, I'd probably end up inventing a whole new branch of art dedicated solely to insulting people visually. I envy the people who haven't met you. I do desire we may be better strangers. Shakespeare. I worship the ground that awaits your corpse. If I had even a fraction of their creativity, I would probably come up with an insult so clever that it could make a snarky comeback seem like an Oscar-winning speech. Have you ever considered the benefits of a frontal lobotomy? Overheard being said in a casual conversational manner by one man to another who was ranting about something, I honestly couldn't understand what. On a similar note from the comic strip Pearls Before Swine, have you considered hitting yourself in the head with a shoe until your brain restarts? Is it wrong to mace stupid people? Legally and ethically, not morally. Somehow I read that in David Tennant's voice.